for me for a lot of years because I've seen both of these women going through it. But now, you know, hopefully we get Tara on soon and she can speak her piece. But the reality is, don't judge people because of some shit you see on TV. Don't judge people over some shit that you don't create your own narrative about somebody when you really don't know the truth of a situation. The reality is, I've learned this, Sean. The people who hate on you the most and are usually the people that are going through the same shit. And they're taking their angers and their hurt and all this shit out on you because the nigga next to them is doing the same thing. Like you're not coming from a place of help. You're not coming from a place of, oh my God, this is what's going on with her and I would like to see her do better. You're coming from a place of, that my nigga doing the same thing. And I'm pissed off at him. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take it out on Amina. Because it's always easier to blame the person across the street than it is for you to look in the fucking mirror and leave a relationship, whether it's abusive, mentally, physically, spiritually, you know, polygamy, whatever the fuck the E that you want to choose. You need to make a decision to move on. And it's easier for you to blame that woman across the street than it is for you to look in the mirror and make your own decisions and do what you need to do that's best for you and your children. Amina did that. And there's some women out here who need to hear that. Amina did that. Tara did that. It may have taken a little bit longer, but you need to do the same thing.
Okay. Well said. And I respect everything you said, but I'm gonna come from a different perspective because ain't none of that got to do with what our show is about, what me and you discussing. We coming from a man's point of view, and here's what I mean. Everything you said was 1,000,000% correct. You know, usually the people who are throwing stones, those are the people who live in glass houses themselves. But I'm talking from a man's point of view because I want to help a woman out there. For one, Amina knew exactly who Pete was from the gate. But more important, she was the other woman. So when I was asking these questions, I'm asking, you know, because and I'm so happy that she was candid and honest. But also, ladies, if you're the other woman, you in for an asshole full of hurt. Like you in for pain from the gate. It don't. If you expect more out of a relationship, then this dude knocking it down on his time when he wants to, when he can get away from his wife, you're not living in this world. So as me and you are discussing this strictly from a man's point of view, I would tell a woman, if you find yourself in a situation and you know, it's one thing if a dude lie to you, but you know he got a wife at home, he got somebody he lived with, he got somebody who he is committed to, supposedly, then you already know where you stand, right? That's number one. And number two, again, it ain't too much that happened to us that we are like, damn, I ain't see that coming. You know how that story ends 99.9% of the time. So in order to save yourself a world of hurt, I'm just saying, if the signs are telling you you're heading for danger, detour. Spread. I don't care how good this dude look. Go ahead.
Come on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Come on, Sean. You know the number one problem with people is they think it can't happen to them.
That's real. That's real.
They think I can change him. No, she wasn't the woman that I am. She wasn't as dope as me. She wasn't her Her sex wasn't as good as mine. All these different things that go through. He ain't doing that to me. Fuck he is. Because if it's in him, he's going to do it to you. But I agree with everything you said. But when that woman got in her mind that she can change him, ain't nothing you could tell her. Because now it becomes a defense mechanism for her when people are coming for her and like, girl, you can't change no Peter Gunz. Peter Gunz is who he is. He's been like this for the last 150 years. That's not what you think. You thinking, well, maybe you're not the woman that I am. Maybe you don't have what I have. Maybe you not a singer. Maybe y'all don't bond over studio like Peter said. And Amina kind of said the same thing. They built on some musical friendship thing and it wasn't that. And her friends told her, nah, girl, that nigga's a piece of shit. But she still went and did what she did because she felt like their connection was different. When in reality, it may have been. But it wasn't enough to keep him from being who he is.
Okay, let's move the conversation along because you said something and it took my mind somewhere else. You talked about people thinking they can change somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Dope topic for us. That's a great segue. So I started off earlier talking about NBA baller PJ Washington. This dude looks like the biggest meatball on the planet. Hooked up, and I say that with love and respect, but that's what he looked like, the biggest meatball on planet Earth. You hooked up with an Instagram model who wrote a book talking about all of the athletes, movie stars, celebrities she been with. You wife her, thinking you can change her, you're in love, and you're gonna bring something to the table every one of them niggas didn't, and now you stuck with a newborn baby, she divorces you, and if the tabloids is right, she getting $200,000 a year in child support. What?
A year?
You can't change people. Is it?
Sean, you said a year.
Yes.
Nigga, it's a month.
Excuse me?
$200K a month.
Story just got worse.
If y'all in the comments, if I'm bugging, then let me know I'm bugging. But somebody just said, yes, it's a month. Somebody just hit me. Somebody said right now that they say, no, it wasn't a year, 200 grand a year. That's probably okay. But 200 grand a month, I think she gets 1.4 a year, which sounds about right because I think this contract's like 7.9.
Okay, so Rich, again, what do you think about this dude? I mean, it had to be somebody in that NBA. Like, they got to have sponsors. They got to have programs set up. They got to have big brothers that dudes who played in the NBA in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s that grab these young boys and say, look, you about to come into a ton of money. You need to watch out for this, and this. And it's like he failed that class. As a matter of fact, he didn't even go to that class. Like, whatever sessions they be having, he just said, I opt out. I'm going to do it my way. Because how do you get caught with the oldest trick in the book? And it's one thing, we talk about the signs. It's one thing if he didn't see that coming. But nigga, like, she wrote a book. All you had to do was read. I'd love to know your thoughts on it.
So my thoughts are this. I have very, very, number one, okay. Number one, I feel bad. I feel bad that he's even in this position. I tell people all the time, you are who you are. Like, just because you're a football player, basketball player, you're a Sigma, a Kappa, you are still that dude you were before you pledged. So, or before you got into the league or whatever, you are that person. She was savvy. Like, this chick like almost like if she was a man, I think she's getting a pass because she's a woman to some degree. Because if she was a man, they would be like, yo, you preyed on a young woman. You preyed on a young woman for sex. And you preyed on her and you did things that were like, what are you doing? So let's just start there. Secondly, he knew there were veterans in the room. There were people in the room. He knew. So I kind of blame him to some degree, but it goes back to that same thing. You try to think that it can't happen to you. You cannot be that vainglorious to think that it cannot happen to you. This woman wrote a whole effing book about what the people she did and all the things, and you were the one that fell prey or fell victim to this thing. And it has to do with you more so than her, because this is, I said it in the tweet, I said, this is probably the most unhidden agenda in the history of NBA basketball. Like, she literally wrote a book, my dude. Like, who? She's not sneaking up on nobody. Ben Simmons, all the other athletes that have Colin Kaepernick, like, Cap wouldn't even fly her out. He was like, you want to come see me? You got to buy your own ticket. Because I know what you stand for. I know who you are. It ain't no secret who you are. And I will not be a victim to this. So
yeah, but I'm going to tell you.
PJ, I feel bad for him, and I think it's a horrible situation. But at the end of the day, my guy, you knew better. You got to do better.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something my girl always tell me. She tell me this for years. She's like, the athletes, they're the easiest dudes to get over on because they never had to have game. They relied on their popularity. They relied on their talent. They didn't have to come with a mouthpiece. They didn't have to have exceptional game, but they still got the woman. And just because now you got a contract, just because now you worth millions, you still that same inexperienced, no game having dude that you was when you was in high school, because you ain't never had to work for it. So I really think that, and I feel sorry that, and that's why I say, where was the Big Brothers program that they got in the NBA? Where was somebody that say, yo, we understand you probably had a lot of women in your life, you just ain't had to work to get them. Mm-hmm. So here's what you need to be looking out for, because it's a different level of chick that you about to run into. This is their full-time job. They are experts in the area of bagging successful men. And these are the signs. So, I feel bad for homeboy. If you're an athlete out there, man or woman, let PJ be a cautionary tale to you. Let him be the latest poster boy of how not to do it. And God willing, everything. And here's the deal, right? He got a beautiful child out of it. They got a beautiful child out of it. God willing, he's paying a hell of a lot of money for this kid. Hopefully him and his kid are like this, when it's all over with. So I got to ask you another question. This man is paying $1,400,000 a year, if the math is correct, $200,000 a month. And I'm going to ask a question that's controversial right now. But should a man be able to opt out of parenting the same way a woman can opt out of being a parent? That man, I ain't saying he got trapped. I'm just saying, if somebody else was in that same damn situation and you like, yo, I wore a condom, you put a hole in my condom, you did whatever you did, and you knew damn well, I told you time and again, I wasn't ready to be a father. You knew damn well that you was the jump off. You was the side piece. Should a man have the right to be like, yo, if the shoe's on the other foot, she could put this kid up for adoption. And I don't have no say so about that. Why can't I opt out?
Yo, that's a crazy question, bro. That's a crazy question. Hold on. Let me see. Mama Dollaz, are you in here? I'm gonna send my mom. If my mom is in here, send me a request. If my mom wants to come, Mom, if you want to come on, I'm gonna send you a request to come on this live because we've had this conversation. The reality is this, Sean. Circumstance. My mom said opting should be legal. Circumstances should determine that. The same way a woman's circumstances determine how she moves forward with the pregnancy, or whether, after pregnancy, how she moves forward with actually, taking care of her kid, or rather putting it up for adoption or whatever. There should be, like you just said, there's circumstances that should absolutely determine whether a man is able to opt out. Understanding of what this relationship was. You're being tricked. You just said the condom, poking holes, saying that you're on birth control when you really aren't. There's a bunch of things in it because this world is really, really messed up. And I know it's going to be controversial that we're saying this, but this world is really, really messed up. And people take advantage of people. People do things with a ulterior motive in their mind. And the only innocent person in this whole thing would be the child. The child is the innocent victim of all this. But the reality is, you just said it. A woman up until a certain point can say, I don't want this baby. So therefore, I'm going to terminate this pregnancy. Or she can say, I'm going to go through with this pregnancy. And when that baby is born, take that baby out this room and never bring it back. Because I don't want to see it. I don't want to fall in love with it. Take it from me, put me to sleep, and then I'll wake up and I'm the same way I was before 9 months ago. That's an option that women have, and I just never understood why we can't figure out how to give the man that option. Because if you're going to go through with a pregnancy without his consent, then you should not. If y'all have an understanding, or he's decided that this is not something he wants, this is something you want, it took two of y'all to lay down. And if you decided that this is something that you want and he doesn't, then you might need to take into consideration what's going to happen for the next 18 years. Does that make sense? Like, I hope I'm not coming off as this like dirty, grimy dude, but the reality is, it's the truth. It's the truth. A woman has the option to make a decision, but a man doesn't. There's no decision for this dude at all, no way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I have.
It's an interesting discussion.
Huh?
It's an interesting discussion, for real, because, this man is paying a lot of money. God willing, he loved that kid to death. God willing, they both said that they want this kid.
Correct.
But like you said, that agenda was not hitting. Like homegirl, I know she probably made him feel special. She probably made him feel like he was the one. But that nigga was insert ball player here, pointing down at her vagina. And whichever one of you niggas can get me pregnant, that is, I'm good with it. But I could be speaking out of turn. Huh?
Before you even go any further, I'm looking at the comments, and women are saying, wear a condom. Okay, wear a condom, get a vasectomy. Y'all are really saying these things? Do you realize that that you have to sleep with a woman without a condom? There is a point. That woman could say, don't put your penis in me unless you have a condom on. You're both taking that risk. You're both taking that risk. That's a risk that both of you have decided that you want to take. So at the end of the discussion, the woman is the one that has to carry baby to term, has to do all these different things. Shouldn't that be? I mean, I don't, man, this is crazy. I get emotional about this because I actually have dealt with a woman who is taking me through the ringer in regards to a child. And I'm not gonna say that I was not responsible for the act, but sending somebody money, doing the different things, the things that women can do, and that people have done, it's just, yo, bro, sometimes that shit just ain't right. Sometimes that shit just ain't right. Ulterior motives just ain't right. Preying on a man just ain't right. Preying on trying to get your income from somebody that you have no desire to work or do anything for just ain't right. Nothing a child can want, need, ever in the history of life would warrant somebody giving you $200,000 a month. I don't care if he went to a different college every month. It would not cost $200,000.
Okay, Rich. I want to save that topic for a different day because I know you're passionate about that topic right there, and we lightly touched on that whole child support, women having total control over the child, turning kids against the father. Me and you can do a whole show on that, and I know we on limited time. So I'm going to save that for a different day because I got strong feelings about it. And you just had a vein coming out of your forehead. So you clearly got strong feelings about that. But I got to ask you this, Rich, real talk. She getting $200,000 a month. Last week, me and you was talking to, I forget who we had on the line. Matter of fact, we were reading questions from the audience. And one of the questions was about a woman making more than a man. And we addressed that, right? We addressed like how you should move or why men get jealous in a relationship or why men act funny when a woman makes a little more.